Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Blake. Today I am bringing you my spoilery book talk for Oathbringer by Brandon Sanderson. I read the first two books earlier this year and I really loved them, but I didn't have anyone to talk about the books with. And since I have finished Oathbringer and Rhythm of War came out 2 days ago, I just had a lot of thoughts and I need to get them off my chest. Full note though, I mean, look at the tabs and all the annotating I did. I don't know if you tell, but holy crap. So, I know that this book is kind of a mixed bag for a lot of people, and a lot of people say it's their least favorite of the three books so far. I had some problems with it, but it is my second favorite, I want to say, behind Words of Radiance, and I will explain why. I think the backstory in this one was so good. I've been loving Dalinar since book one, and then we finally get to see his backstory. And all this time, people have been saying that he was such a tyrant, that he was a horrible person when he was younger. And now we finally get to see it. I was just blown away. I couldn't tear my eyes from the pages. I just couldn't believe that that was Dalinar. And also, in this one, the world seems to get bigger, if that's even possible. We have the Unmade, we have Corrupted Spren, we get to see Odium, and I think he was a fantastic villain. I feel like this book, there are a lot of puzzle pieces from books 1 and 2 that finally come together, and I really liked seeing it all unravel. As well as there was a lot of political intrigue in this one, and I was really excited by that. Especially when Dalinar was trying to unite the other kingdoms, and then they finally get there and they start the coalition and they start to interact with one another and they're trying not to step on each other's toes. I'm really excited for that in the next book, since Yasna is queen and she is not very likable by a lot of people's standards, but I think that she will be a fierce queen, and I can't wait to see what she does differently. I'm gonna go ahead and talk about what I didn't like about this one as well. This isn't really a big complaint, this is a very minor thing, but I feel like Kaladin had very little page time, and I was so sad about it because he's my favorite character. But it's someone else's book, I get it. But I always wanted to see more Kaladin, and I will never complain about that ever. But the thing that kind of put me off while I was reading this was this Shadesmar bit. I know why Sanderson had to do it. I know that it was to expand upon the world further. But, it just came at such a weird time, I feel like. We were going, full speed into the action, and then we slammed on the brakes to go to Shadesmar. It just felt so out of place, and I felt like it was so slow. My problem with Shadesmar is that what made it interesting before is that we didn't really know anything about it, and it was mysterious. And now that I have read 250 pages or something of Shadesmar, I'm not interested in it anymore. It's not mysterious. So now that I have gotten that out of the way, there are a lot of things that I want to actually dive into and chat about. The first being Dalinar. Holy crap. I couldn't believe that was in his flashbacks. I just couldn't believe that was actually Dalinar. He was such a horrible person, and it seems so out of character for him, and we see how much he has changed. And some of the things in there just broke my heart. The way he treated his wife and son, Evie and Renarin, I was just gutted. I felt like he treated Evie like garbage. And I was so mad for her in this book. I was just fuming. The way he treated her, he didn't seem to care about her mental health or her well-being. He didn't care about what she had to say. He thought she was kind of, a loon, brushed her off a lot of the times. He never really seemed to care about her well-being or what she wanted or what she liked. And that scene where she was burnt alive in the city for trying to warn them was terrible. I mean, that was like the worst way to go out. And this is totally my opinion. Let me know if you think differently or if you agree with me. But I don't really feel like Dalinar was mourning for her afterwards. I feel like he was more so mourning the loss of the man that he thought he was, mourning the loss of like all the people that he killed. I don't really feel like he cared about Evie's death enough. And that made me so sad because I feel like Evie genuinely had a lot of love and affection for Dalinar, and then he treated her like garbage. But that's totally my opinion. I don't know how you feel. And just looking at the way that he treats Navani, and how much love and affection he has for her, as opposed to the way he spoke and treated to Evie, just makes me sick. As well as the way he spoke to and treated Renarin. From book 1, we know that Renarin is kind of the other child. He doesn't really get a lot of page time. He's kind of on the sidelines. People don't really care about him as much. They just think he's weird. Renarin, I'm really happy to say, got a lot more page time in this book. And I really like Renarin. I've been waiting for this since book 1. And in the flashback scenes with Dalinar, after Evie has died, and Renarin is trying to comfort Dalinar, and Dalinar says, "What did she tell you about me? What did Evie tell you about me?" And Renarin says, "She said that you were the most honorable man." And it just, I got a little emotional at that scene, and Dalinar hugs Renarin, and I think that that's like the most interaction that I've ever seen them have in the story. And also there was that scene where Evie was kind of calling Dalinar out, like, hey, you have 2 sons, in case you had forgotten about the other one. And I just feel like Renarin is just too precious for the world. And Dalinar, I just didn't like the way that Dalinar treated him in the flashbacks either. And then in modern day, we see Renarin kind of questioning this warrior ideal. Like, maybe he should have been an Ardent. And he kind of goes to this meeting. And we see Dalinar kind of come into the meeting too to support Renarin, because he's like the only guy there. And I was really proud of Dalinar in that moment, seeing him kind of support Renarin. Because Renarin is just always getting insulted or mistreated, I feel like. I still like Dalinar's character, or the person he is now. Definitely, there were some times in the flashbacks where I didn't like who Dalinar was, and I think that was kind of the point, but I still like Dalinar's character, and I know some people say that they stopped liking Dalinar's character after reading that book. Let's get into the Spren. Some of my favorite moments in this book had to do with the Spren. I love the way that they are slowly becoming more self-aware and becoming more aware of what's going on around them. I honestly feel like some of the best dialogue in the book is between the Spren and the person that they are bonded to. With Syl and Kaladin, from Syl giving him like intimacy advice, and we have Pattern yelling no mating. I feel like those scenes were really hilarious, and I feel like Brandon Sanderson has such like a dad sense of humor. It's like those were totally like dad joke things. But I loved those interactions throughout the story, and we see kind of Pattern being concerned for Shallan's well-being, and we see Syl and Shademar kind of pulling Kaladin along, and she is upset for him. And we also get to see the Stormfather and Dalinar's interactions together. And I think that the Stormfather was really interesting. Sorry, I have a sinus infection. But the way that the Stormfather originally didn't care about people. And then as the story progresses, he sees why Honor cared about people after seeing Dalinar's emotions. Also, I think that was a really big scene when the Stormfather, when they finally see Odium, and Stormfather just breaks down afterwards, saying that Odium is too strong, we'll never be able to win. I feel like that was kind of some really good, I don't want to say foreshadowing, but I think that was a really great moment where we actually get to see Odium. I think that Odium was a fantastic villain. I hope that he doesn't die too quickly. I'm kind of hoping that he remains throughout the rest of the series, kind of for a big finale, because he is so powerful and I just don't see him being taken down easily. Also, Moash. Oh my gosh, that guy. I hate that guy. Okay, so I never cared about Ekelar, however you say it. I was like, let him die, I don't care. But then we actually get to the scene in the city, and Moash stabs him, and Brandon Sanderson made me care about this king that I had never cared about before. And his death was really tragic. In this book, we kind of see him wanting to do better as a king for his people. And he genuinely seems to care about his family. And then Moash just stabs him, and he does the Bridge 4 salute, and I feel like that was just salt to the wound. And then Ekelar tries to swear the ideals, and he just doesn't get to, and I think that was a really powerful moment in the story. I tabbed it as one of my favorite scenes. And then we see Kaladin in his broken state again. I think that Brandon Sanderson writes depression so well. Another scene that I really loved was when Dalinar goes to face the army alone at the end there. And it was such a Dalinar heroic moment. I wondered if he was going to die. I don't know why, but I've been feeling since book 1 that Dalinar was going to die. And I felt like this was the scene where he was going to go out. But he didn't. And then we have Szeth show up. And for a side character, he has a lot of development. I always loved reading his moral dilemma problems. And then he swears his oaths to Dalinar, and I loved that redemption arc. I'm not normally a fan of redemption arcs, but I think that Szeth's was well overdue. And then we had Lift show up. I don't like Lift in the slightest. I know she's 13, maybe she's 14 now. But she was 13, an edge dancer, and I don't feel like she's 13. In my mind, she's 8. A really immature 8-year-old, and I hate it when she talks about being awesome, and everything is a joke to her, and I just don't really feel like she fits in the story. But I absolutely love her Spren Wendell. For every moment of his dialogue is just the best, I think. Just his constant, oh my gosh, here we are again, why are we doing this? This is just, I don't want to be here. I related on a spiritual level with Wendell. And I just want a Spren. I just want to live in a world with Spren. That's all I want. That's the goal for me. Another one of my favorite scenes in this book were with Bridge 4. I feel like Bridge 4 was very few and far between in this book. And that really bummed me out because I feel like they have some of the best dialogue and interaction in the series. And I love their sense of brotherhood and their sense of friendship. But I absolutely loved when they did their final bridge run. I felt like that was kind of tied everything all together. And I especially loved that scene between Scar and Lyn whenever they can't glow up. And then they end up becoming Windrunners. And I love Scar's interactions with Lynn on the cliff that day, and Scar was about to give up, and then he helps Lynn kind of become a Windrunner, and then he starts to glow too. I thought that was a really great scene. Just anything with Bridge 4, I mean, I just eat that up. I love that Teft kind of got a little bit of a backstory here as well, and I wonder how that's going to play into it later. I also really liked that Rock was the one to defeat Amaram in the end. The battle with Amaram and Kaladin felt kind of, I don't want to say underwhelming, but I just wasn't fulfilled by what happened. I don't think Kaladin would have killed Amaram. I was questioning if he was gonna do it. And then Rock ended up being the one that did. And I wonder what that means for Rock in the future books. But that also makes me wonder about a Moash Kaladin battle in the future. I think that would be really interesting to see Kaladin struggle. I don't think he would be able to do it either. I don't think he would be able to off Moash. I'm hoping that that doesn't come in Rhythm of War. I feel like it would be a little premature. So I absolutely love the scene in Alethkar when they go and they see that the Spren there are kind of corrupt. I loved everything they had to do with the Unmade and the corrupt Spren. I love that scene when Shallan made like multiple parts of herself to fight the Unmade. I thought that was awesome. And I'm really looking forward to seeing more Unmade because I feel like there's so much story there that we have yet to explore. And I love that in this book we touched upon what really happened with the Radiance more. I feel like this book just kind of sets the tone for the rest of the series. Okay, speaking of Shallan, I can't stand her. From book 1 to now, she has some really good moments, and I'm like, wow, Shallan, that was great. But most of the time, I'm like, Shallan, stop. Why are you doing this? This is stupid. And in this book, we have Shallan's split personality disorder taking over, and she can't really figure out which part of her is which. And I was really frustrated by that for a good bit of it. I think it makes her character more complex, and I think it gives her a more depth as we kind of see these different parts of her, but oh my gosh, it was just so frustrating because I feel like it just kept getting worse and worse, her personality problems. And I liked that we see kind of the repercussions of her different personalities taking over. When that little boy was killed because of Vale, and Shallan comes to the realization that she doesn't have, street experience. She hasn't been living on the streets her entire life. Vale is totally a figment of her imagination. Just because she pretends that Vale does have all of this experience doesn't mean that she does. And I liked that moment in the story. And I like that we saw Wit there as well. I loved their interaction in that scene. And I wanted to talk about the love triangle here. I know a lot of people said that they were really happy it was resolved. And I would agree, except I don't feel like it is resolved. I felt like it was so brushed over and it happened so quickly. It was literally like a paragraph. And she was like, and Shallan was like, I choose Adolin. And then Adolin was like, well, I see the way you look at Kaladin, and you obviously like Kaladin. Who wouldn't like Kaladin? And Shallan was like, oh no, that wasn't me. That was my other personality. That was Vale, and she has terrible taste in men. And Adolin is totally okay with this. He's like, yeah, okay, cool, let's get hitched. And I think that that's going to be a major problem later because her personalities keep slipping back and forth. I don't feel like that is the end of that. I have seen so many theories on this because I don't think Sanderson would just write it and leave it like that. But a lot of people say that they see a connection between the Dalinar, Navani, Gavilar triangle and this one. And I do agree. I think that that's something interesting there to consider. But I just don't think that Shallan and Kaladin could be a couple, because Kaladin killed Shallan's brother. We are aware of this. She hasn't even discussed it with him. And I feel like she doesn't treat Kaladin very well at all. I don't feel like she treated Yasna very well in this book either, but more on that later. And I don't think I could ever see Kaladin taking Adolin's girl, unless he died or something, and even then I don't feel like he would do it. So I don't feel like Shallan should be with anyone, because she has some issues that she needs to sort out. And I feel kind of similarly with Kaladin as well. I know people have shipped Kaladin with everyone under the sun. Shallan, Adolin, Yasna, which that would be a terrible idea because I think they would kill each other. And Syl, even. And I think he has the best interactions with Syl. And I think he has the best chemistry with Syl, and not in a romantic way, but just in the way that they have good dialogue. So I don't feel like Kaladin should be with anyone either, because he has to get through his depression first. Adolin tells Shallan that he likes the real her, but Adolin doesn't know the real Shallan. Shallan doesn't even know the real Shallan. We don't know the real Shallan. Some people think that Adolin is going to become evil. I don't know. I haven't seen any foreshadowing for it as far as I have caught on to. But that doesn't mean anything, because I miss things all the time. I do think there will be a falling out between Adolin and Renarin and Dalinar, especially when they find out the truth of what happened to their mother. And maybe that's what would make Adolin lose it. I've heard people theorize that, and I mean, that's a plausible theory, I think. I really want to see Kaladin swear the next oath in the next book. And then the next one in the 5th book. I know a lot of people theorize that Kaladin's going to die, but I refuse to accept that. I don't want it. I will riot and never read another Brandon Sanderson book again. That's not exactly true. I feel like Kaladin has had, like, the roughest life. Like, this guy just can't catch a break. And if Sanderson kills him, I'm gonna be like, why do you hate us? This just occurred to me. Renarin with his corrupt Spren. I think that's really interesting that Spren can become corrupt. Is there a way that they can become uncorrupt? I would be really interested in seeing that. I really want to see Gliss, his Spren, as well. And there was that scene when Yasna was going to kill him. And she's holding the sword over his head, and she's gonna do it. And I feel like if it had been anyone else, she wouldn't have hesitated. But then she was, having thoughts about when Renarin was a boy, and how they had so much in common, and how much affection she had for Renarin. And she didn't kill him. I thought that was very un-Yasna-like. And I think that shows a lot of Yasna's character. And she tells them that they're going to fix it, that they're going to make it better. That was one of my favorite scenes. I really hope that Renarin continues to get more page time as the series progresses. And then when she shows up, Shallan gets annoyed with her for giving her ward duties. And she almost seems disappointed that Yasna is alive. And I just don't get it. I mean, she worked so hard to be a ward for Yasna, and then she's just gonna throw it away. Like, Shallan, please, get it together. I kind of wanted to spend a moment talking about Navani and Dalinar's character relationship as well. I'm kind of on the fence about how I feel about Navani. I never liked her whenever she first appeared. I feel like she was just trying to get with Dalinar because he was powerful. Oh, or I thought she was a spy, or she was trying to plan to assassinate him, or something like that. And it really bothered me that she just couldn't take no for an answer. I didn't like that they got married. I feel like she was always trying to, like, put him in compromising situations. Or he would tell her that, no, you're my dead brother's wife. that would be weird. I'm not comfortable with that. And she just keeps pursuing him and pushing, even when he says he's not comfortable. And that really bothered me. And I originally didn't feel any chemistry in their relationship for a long time. I had previously told a friend after reading the first Mistborn book that I feel like the one thing that Sanderson struggles with is writing good romances. And upon reading this one, I am now hesitant about saying that. Because towards the end of the book here, we kind of see, or I saw a difference in Navani and Dalinar's relationship. It was very mature and adult relationship, where Dalinar is back in his drunken stupor when his memories come back, and Navani is furious with him for kind of leaving her to take care of this kingdom on her own. And she has this internal dialogue about, in a relationship, the other person can't always be 100% of the time. And sometimes the other person has to pick up the slack and carry it for them. I really appreciated that. I liked that kind of development in their relationship. And he kind of confides in her more about, his memories returning. I mean, he hasn't told her all of it yet, but I think he will. And just the way that he asked her to teach him how to read, and kind of there are a couple little moments throughout the story here and there where I feel like their relationship has developed. It feels very different from Adolin and Shallan relationship going on. I'm hesitant now to say that Sanderson struggles to write romance. Because no, it's not overtly romantic, but I think that Dalinar and Navani, towards the end of this book, have a really good relationship. I want to talk a bit about the Ghostbloods as well. Towards the end, Shallan, there's like one sentence where Shallan says that she has told Adolin everything, except for the thing about the Ghostbloods, and she's going to tell him soon. I can't believe that we didn't see that, because if she confessed about everything, I really wanted to see Adolin's reaction. I didn't know if he would be okay with all the things that she had done, so I don't know if he would be okay with the Ghostbloods. I was really wanting her to tell Yasna about the Ghostbloods. I'm also really interested to see, when the truth about Adolin comes out, that he killed Sadeas, how people are going to react to that. I am sure that Sadeas' wife is going to want him dead when the truth comes out. And I think that she was a really interesting character. I can't wait to see what she does, because I feel like she is going to be more of a major player in future books. I would really like it if she got an interlude chapter or something, because she seems like a good schemer, and I quite liked her dialogue with Navani, and she kind of like threw them under the bus. As well as Taravangian. I was not expecting that at all. I was so shocked about that little twist there, and I'm really excited to read more from his perspective. I really want to see what Taravangian can do when he teams up with Odium. I want to see kind of how they join forces against Dalinar. I wonder if maybe he'll regret his decisions and go back to being on the good guy's side. When Dalinar is yelling, you can't have my pain. Evie was a fantastic character. I wish she had more page time. Yasna was a boss. Her powers were next level. She is basically indestructible. Another scene that I loved was at the end when Scar and Drehy had saved Elkalar's son. That was phenomenal. By themselves. They were in the enemy territory by themselves. And they managed to save him. I just want to go back to Dalinar again. he was worse than Sadeas and Amaram in my mind, and he is seeking forgiveness from others now, and I think it'll be really interesting to see how everyone else looks at him now, especially Kaladin, because I was wondering, I was like, how is Kaladin going to feel about the man he thinks is so honorable, who did all these terrible things? Really interested to see how the Shallan-Adolin marriage will work out. I don't think it will work out very well. That's just my prediction. I would love if Szeth was a POV character in book 4. Renarin, anyone but Lift. Taravangian, all of those people I would love to see more in book 4. I would be really excited to see other POV characters that are from the other orders of the Knights Radiant, because I really feel like the Knights Radiants deserve more time on the page with their powers and understanding what each group is, what they do. I mean, I know there's a summary in the back of the book, but I still want to experience them as characters. I really want Odium to have a POV chapter, or maybe an interlude in the next one as well, because like I said, he was just so good of a villain. I like how he uses other people to kind of gain power. He's not one for getting his hands dirty. He's super calm, he's collected, he's clever, and he uses other people as a way to get what he wants. The fact that he had been with Amaram for so long was really interesting. I really want to know if he has been with others, if he has influenced others within the coalition. I especially like that one scene where Gox is kind of calling out his ardents, saying, no, we need to align with Dalinar. I'm king, not you. And she's like, well, you know, we kind of tell you what to do and you have to kind of do it. And he's like, no, the only reason why you wanted me to be king was in case if I was murdered, it wouldn't be a big deal for you. And I would really like to see more of Gox, kind of in this leadership role, because I think that was a really great scene. And I love the interaction he has with his spren as well when he swears the oaths. And Teft says, I'm broken, and she says, who isn't? Life breaks us, Teft. Then we fill the cracks with something stronger. I make myself sick. Teft, she said, a glowing apparition in the darkness. That's what the words are about. And then he says, I will protect those I hate, even if the one I hate most is myself. Wow. I also think it's really interesting. There's this interaction between Stormfather and Dalinar, and the Stormfather tells him that Odium can't break oaths. I wonder if that's why Odium doesn't actually get his hands dirty. I wonder if that's why he kind of influences other people to do things for him. I think Queen Finn from the Other Kingdom was also a beast in this book, well as her husband, partner, dude, consort, I don't know. Okay, so the Parshman Parshendi chapters, how do you guys feel about those? Sometimes I think they're interesting. I like that they aren't just mustache-twirling villains. I like that Sanderson gives them character and he gives them development and backstory. But I don't feel like I need that much page time for them. You know, you can give me like an interlude of them and then we can move on. Again, I think they're interesting. I'm so conflicted about them. And I love that self-forgiveness is such a big part of the story. I love Renarin's arc in this. I desperately want to see more of it. I want him to be a Radiant. I want... because he's had all these things happen to him in life, and he's still such a wonderful person, and I absolutely love him for it. I have been filming for 3 hours now, apparently. My camera is about to die. I'm starving, and my throat is sore. But there's still so much I want to say. I'm sure that when I stop filming, I'll be like, dang it, I wish I had talked about this. But I actually really enjoyed doing this book talk. It was a lot of fun, and I think I'll continue to do them in the future. But thank you so much if you watched all of this. Gosh, this is going to be so much editing. But thank you so much if you watched this. Let me know your thoughts on Oathbringer. Because I would love to know, and I would love to chat with you in the comments. And I'll see you with another video again soon. Bye!